Hello. Welcome to Jimmy's Records and Tapes. I'm Jimmy Pardo. This week we're talking about my top 5 favorite cover songs.
We've got it on vinyl, CD and cassette.
We've got pop, rock, heavy metal, punk, funk, rap, and new wave. All sales are final, but you never regret all the music you get at Jimmy's Records and Tapes.
I'm loving music again. Hey guys, welcome to Jimmy's Records and Tapes. I'm Jimmy. That's a record. That's a tape. Do we have other formats? Of course we do. We're a full-service record store. The only thing we don't sell tickets, man. That's not what we do here. Talking this week about cover songs, and these are songs that admittedly I did not know as a young man they were cover songs. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Maybe I'm going to share some with you that you weren't familiar with. But that's what this is all about, just having some fun. Also with the cover songs, I'm leaving out All Along the Watchtower because that is arguably the greatest cover song of all time. I'm leaving that out. These are the 5 that come after All Along the Watchtower. And I'm talking, of course, mostly about Jimi Hendrix version of All Along the Watchtower, which is flawless. And that's the one that everybody's like, what a great Hendrix tune, not knowing that it was a Bob Dylan cover. And I have been on record to anybody that will listen to me as I'm on my soapbox yelling at people in the park that you can't screw up this song. I don't care who the artist is. If you're Jimi Hendrix, if you're the Dave Matthews Band, if you're Dave Mason and Jim Capaldi, if you're Pearl Jam, if you're Devlin with Ed Sheeran, if you're Billy Valentine of the Forest Rangers from the Sons of Anarchy soundtrack, you can't screw. Yes, I've listened to all of these. I've listened to every version of All on the Watchtower that there is. The 2 that I think I like the most, after Jimi Hendrix, of course, Richie Havens does a great version. And then from the soundtrack from a movie called The Dancer Upstairs, which I went to see the movie based on hearing this version in the trailer, a guy named Yul Anderson did a version of this of All on the Watchtower that is haunting and stuck with me. And it's like, man, what a great version of that tune. And again, you cannot screw up All Along the Watchtower. I have never attempted to record it, so there is a chance that I could ruin my own theory. But know this, I don't think you can screw up All Along the Watchtower. Here are the 5 that come after All Along the Watchtower, written by Bob Dylan, which, by the way, I saw Bob Dylan in concert a couple of times. Both times, not good. Not good. The first time I saw him was at the Pantages Theater in Los Angeles. My cousin Russ invited me to go. At the last minute, he had his buddy fell out, and he said, hey, you want to go to that show with me? I said, more than happy to. Let me buy dinner. Right? My pleasure. More than happy to buy dinner. And we went, and I think we got some pizza. Russ is a huge Bob Dylan fan. He came down from the Bay Area to see the show, and he'd seen him a bunch of times. And we had great seats. Very grateful for the seats. Very grateful to have experienced Bob Dylan for the first time. And it was awful. And at one point, I looked over, and Russ was writing on a pad of paper. Russ is a journalist. And I was like, oh, what do you do? You keep a track of the set list? He goes, no, I'm doing work. This is awful. This is from a guy who had seen Dylan a bunch of times, and even he was like, this one ain't good, man. The only song that was great, and this will not be a surprise based on my rant from earlier, in the encore, he did All Along the Watchtower, and that was amazing. Let me get to my 5 favorite cover songs. Number 5 is a Joan Baez tune from 1975 that was covered by Judas Priest, and that's Diamonds and Rust. A song that I never would have thought that this guitar-playing hippie would have written. Diamonds and Rust, number 5 by Judas Priest. Number 4, again, a haunting version. This song went to number 2 by the Bengals. It's a cover of Simon and Garfunkel. Their version went to number 13, Hazy Shade of Winter, which is on the Less Than Zero soundtrack, which, again, I hate to overuse the word haunting, but their version is haunting. And when it hits in the movie, which is a sad, depressing movie to begin with a great album cover art and great poster art, the movie didn't live up to the promotional items. What a great version, Hazy Shade of Winter by the Bengals. My number 3 is a tie, and I know that's unfair, but here's why. I saw Cyndi Lauper in concert. So this is a cover, 2 covers by Cyndi Lauper. When You Were Mine by Prince and Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers. And when I saw Cyndi a couple times in concert, one of them, she got heckled by a guy who thought he was helping. You know how hecklers come up after a show, fellow comedians, go, "Hey man, you're welcome." And you go, "Welcome for what?" And then the guy says, "Well, I said that thing," and then you got a big laugh. Oh, so you did help me. Thank you. This guy was doing that for Cyndi Lauper, and he kept on yelling out. I think he wanted to hear True Colors or something, and she finally said, and I can't do a Cyndi Lauper impression, "Will you shut the F up?" And the guy's like, "But I love you." She's like, "I get it. I love you too. But you need to shut up. I'm doing my job." And he was relentless and wouldn't stop. And then he started approaching the stage, and Cyndi did what we do as comics when weirdness starts happening. She grabbed the mic stand as if to use it as a weapon to ward this fellow off, who again thought he was just helping. The other time, she was opening up for Meatloaf. It was a Cyndi Lauper Meatloaf show, and I had never heard her do Unchained Melody before. And she did a little stage pattern building up to it, and I was like, "Whoa, what song is this?" And then she went into it, and it was the most beautiful version of that song that I ever heard. And those that know me won't be surprised by this. By the end of it, just a pool of water. I was dehydrated. I saw it was just a beautiful version of that. Then Meatloaf came out, and it turns out everybody at the Universal Amphitheater that night was there to see Cyndi Lauper. And at one point, Meatloaf said, "Turn up the lights so I can see these people." And my instinct was, "Don't do that. You're not going to be happy with what you see." And he immediately went, "Shut him down." I'm guessing that he wasn't happy with what he saw. So again, number 3, a tie, a Cyndi Lauper tie, a Cyndi Lauper battle. When You Were Mine, the Prince cover, and Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers. Number 2, this one everybody knows, right? Manford Mann's Earth Band, the Springsteen cover. This went to number 1 for Manford Mann's Earth Band. Springsteen did not chart with this at all. Blinded by the Light. This may have been my favorite song as a kid growing up. And I know that everybody likes to change the lyrics, or they misheard the lyrics and, wrapped up like a douche. Some people think they said, that's not what they said. Anyhow, great song, Manford Mann's Earth Band. Number 2, Blinded by the Light. And my number 1 favorite cover song is a cover of a Dire Straits song from the Indigo Girls, Romeo and Juliet. Again, not a surprise. The first time I heard this, I sobbed. I was in the car after a horrible breakup, and I had gotten into the Indigo Girls at that moment, and I had not heard this song. And by the time it came on my, I got to say, cassette player at the time, man, it had me. And I just think it's a beautiful version of an already great song. Romeo and Juliet by the Indigo Girls, my number 1 favorite cover song. Hey guys, it's time for this week's Jimmy's Choice. As a reminder, Jimmy's Choice is you, the viewer, send me on Twitter at Jimmy Pardo 2 artists that you want to make me choose between them. Which one will I choose? And this week, it comes to us from, as it pops up on my screen, at Whale Cave. And again, you can send these in. Maybe your battle will show up on a future episode of Jimmy's Records and Tapes. I don't know what the battle is till it pops up. As I said, this week is from at Whale Cave. Queen versus Elton John. I'm going to say that little comparison happened because of they both had movies made about their lives. And if it's about the movies, I'm going to pick Bohemian Rhapsody over Rocket Man. I liked that better. I love Queen. I did not have the chance to see them in concert with Freddie, but I did see them with Paul Rodgers, and then I've seen them a couple of times with Adam Lambert. Great shows. I've seen Elton John. I've met Elton John. Oh, maybe that tips it. Maybe that tips it in Elton's favor that I met him and he called me honey. Maybe, you know what? I'm going to have that tip it over because that's hard to choose. Come on, at Whale Cave. That's not fair. Queen versus Elton John. Both their catalogs are amazing. I'm going to go with Elton John. Just for the simple fact that I met the gentleman a couple of times, and he called me honey and couldn't have been a nicer man. Wore a pillbox hat one of the times that I met him. Little purple blue pillbox hat. And you know what? Not the fact that I met him. That pillbox hat pushes it over. Battle of the Bands, Jimmy's Choice, Elton John. All right, guys, that is this week's Jimmy's Records and Tapes. I thank you so much for joining me. If you liked it, click the like button. Tell your friends about it. As I mentioned, you can follow me on Twitter at Jimmy Pardo. And, of course, I host the award-winning podcast, Never Not Funny. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, the record's back in the sleeve.